promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar, 1 p.m. in Lagos. Good afternoon and welcome to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world at wadr.org. First, our top stories. Reaction mounts over CAF decision declaring Morocco 2025 African champions as Senegalese Football Federation announces appeal at arbitration court for sports.
Senegal have every right to appeal once they are into this, because the rules are clear what the appeals committee did, and then Senegal have every right to go on an appeal.
Nigerian president on state visit to the UK in nearly 4 decades. The Gambia police confirm rising cases of rape, robbery and arson attacks.
We notice an increase in rape, arson, robbery. Another challenge that we are faced with is the lack of adequate mobility for our operations.
And Liberian government clarifies tripartite agreement over Mano River Union border disputes amid citizens' demand. Please stay tuned for details of the stories and more.
On the news, this is a more edit.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. Newslink begins with the shocking news in African football. The Appeals Committee of the Confederation of African Football CAF has annulled Senegal's victory at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. CAF has instead declared Morocco the champions of Africa. After reviewing a protest submitted by Morocco, the Appeals Committee found that Senegal had violated Articles 82 and 84 of the AFCON regulations. As a result, Morocco has been awarded the title by default. While Morocco acknowledges the decision, Senegal denounces the ruling as unacceptable, promising an appeal at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Chris Vaticho completes the story.
Morocco filed a protest denouncing the behavior of the Lions of Teranga during the AFCON 2025 final. The CAF Appeals Committee decided to review the case, adhering to strict regulations of the competition. After examining the details of the case, the Appeals Committee overturned the initial decision of the Disciplinary Committee, ruling that Senegal had violated Article 82 and 84 of the AFCON regulations. As a result, the Senegalese team was declared to have forfeited the match, which was officially recorded as a 3-0 victory for the Royal Moroccan Football Federation. According to CAF Appeal Committee, Senegal lost its title by default after it refused to play and walk off the pitch, allowing Morocco to be declared African champions. In another development related to this case, Ismail Saibari, the Moroccan midfielder, had his suspension reduced to 2 matches, one of which was suspended, while his $100,000 fine was waived. The Royal Moroccan Football Federation, FRMF, has been fined several times for the conduct of its ball boys and the use of lasers, although some of the fines were reduced. In a press statement, the Royal Federation acknowledged the decisions and said its intention was never to question the sporting performance of participating teams in the competition. Meanwhile, the Senegalese Football Federation denounces the decision as unfair and unacceptable, promising to initiate an appeal before the Court of Arbitration for Sports. Minutes after the decision, the Senegalese Football Federation posted a short 36-second video on its Facebook page showing the Lions celebrating their grand return to Dakar with the trophy.
Chris Vaticho filed that report. Now to foreign diplomacy. Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is currently in the United Kingdom for a historic state visit. His arrival in London on Tuesday marks the first visit by a Nigerian president to the United Kingdom in nearly 4 decades. Officials say this visit aims to strengthen diplomatic and economic relations between the two countries. Our Abuja correspondent Yechin Sasicho has more details in this report.
President Tinubu's arrival marks Nigeria's first official state visit to the UK since 1989 and is expected to deepen bilateral ties, particularly in trade, investment, and diplomatic cooperation. Dignitaries, government officials, and representatives of the Nigerian community were present to receive the president as engagements begin with high-level meetings and ceremonial events. The Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Shirley Ayoko Bochwe, welcomes the visit, describing it as a significant moment for both Nigeria and the United Kingdom.
We celebrated Commonwealth Day a week ago, and so to have this visit
is one that gives me a lot of happiness because Nigeria is an invaluable member of the Commonwealth, one of the 10 top contributors to our technical fund.
She also notes that the visit presents a valuable opportunity for Nigeria to strengthen partnerships and advance its development priorities through international cooperation.
A bilateral visit like this showcases the country. It also gives the country opportunities, not just for bilateral talks, but also like a business forum, for instance, where investments can be explored.
President Tinubu's visit is expected to feature bilateral discussions, investment engagements, and cultural exchanges aiming to reinforce long-standing ties between Nigeria and the United Kingdom. For WADR, Yechin Sasitu reporting.
Elsewhere in the Central Sahel region, specifically Niger, reactions continue to drill the European Parliament's call for the release of deposed President Mohamed Bazoum. Last week, the European Parliament adopted a resolution demanding the release of Bazoum, who has been detained by the current authorities in Niger since the July 2023 coup d'etat. However, Nigerian civil society organizations describe this resolution as another form of interference in the country's internal affairs and a violation of Niger's sovereignty. Usman Mara completes the story.
In a statement issued on Tuesday, March 17, Nigerian civil society organizations stated that the resolution reflects a persistent desire among certain external groups to influence the political future of Niger. Read by Fred Al-Hassan Mouloud, Secretary General of the Steering Committee of the Union of Nigerian Students, the joint statement criticizes the double standards by the European Parliament and some European Union institutions in their responses to various tragedies. The organizations called on the citizens to reject any external interference and to assume responsibility for their sovereignty and collective determination in the ongoing refounding process of the country. Those attending the event also stressed the importance of maintaining unity until any threats to Niger's sovereignty are eliminated. It's important to note that the European Parliament adopted a new resolution on Thursday, March 12, 2026, regarding the arbitrary detention of Niger's President Mohamed Bazoum. European lawmakers say the resolution aims to condemn Bazoum's detention and that of his family, while calling for the restoration of constitutional order in Niger. Nearly 2 years ago, the European Parliament previously adopted a similar resolution, almost unanimously condemning what it termed Bazoum's illegal detention.
Usman Omar reporting there.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Now to security concerns. In Liberia, citizens are urging the government to provide a detailed account of the recent tripartite summit aimed at resolving the border disputes with Guinea. Recall on Monday, Presidents Joseph Boakai of Liberia, Mamadi Doumbouya of Guinea, and Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone gathered in Conakry to address rising tensions from border disagreements among the Mano River Union countries. Despite the peace talks, Guinean soldiers crossed into Liberian territory at the Salumba entry point on Tuesday, igniting fear among residents in the area. WDR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
The situation is increasing pressure on the Liberian government to clearly communicate the outcomes of the leaders' meeting to the public. Amid rising concerns, Liberia's Information Minister Jerry Lemeke-Pia clarifies the public concerns.
At the conclusion of the tripartite summit, the heads of state expressed their concern regarding the proliferation of crises and conflict worldwide that comes with economic, security, and humanitarian repercussions. They reaffirmed their unwavering commitment to the principles of sovereignty, inviolability of borders, territorial integrity, political independence, good neighborliness, and fraternity.
In response to the ongoing border tensions, Stephen Zako, a senior security expert and Liberia's former immigration boss, calls on the government to meet its benchmark for military strength, emphasizing the need for a stronger security presence along the border.
And the benchmark was not drawn by us, was drawn in consultation with our partner from the region and from the globe. We all agree that security landscape needed to have this benchmark. It is but fair that we reach them in time of peace, prepare for war. While it's true, we're hoping that what was agreed on in Conakry, all will live by it, abide by it. While that has been done, let us meet our benchmark. It was projected that by now we should have had a little close to 8,000 plus amount men in the military.
Meanwhile, members of the House of Representatives have decided to embark on a fact-checking visit to the border region to gain first-hand insight into the situation. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Still on security matters, the Gambia Police Force has outlined key achievements, operational challenges, and strategic priorities to improve public safety and service delivery. The updates were presented during a press conference held on Tuesday at the police headquarters in Banjul, the capital. They are based on last year's performance by the Gambian Police Force. From Banjul, Sang Dinamendi reports.
Inspector General of Police Sidi Mukhtar Toure says more than 12,500 visibility patrols were conducted across the country. This figure contributes to a 1.13% drop in the national crime rate compared to 2024. He notes that while serious offences such as murder and burglary declined, cases of rape, robbery and arson have increased, pointing to a shift in crime patterns.
Murder reduced from 29 cases in 2024 to 21 cases in 2025. Burglary, 38 cases in 2024 to 34 cases in 2025. We noticed an increase in rape, arson, robbery.
To strengthen capacity, the police force has trained and graduated 1,336 new police constables with another 750 recruits currently undergoing training. This move aims to improve response time and boost community policing efforts. The institution also reports nearly 3,900 convictions during the period under review and improvements in investigations and prosecution. Despite these gains, Inspector General Toure acknowledges several operational challenges affecting the force.
Lack of purpose-built training academy. Professionalism starts with training. Well-trained police officers provide effective service to the public, and the basis of such excellent services is quality training. We need a state-of-the-art police academy to prepare officers before deploying them in the streets. Another challenge that we are faced with is the lack of adequate mobility for our operations.
Meanwhile, the Gambia Police Force reaffirms its commitment to professionalism, accountability, and respect for the rule of law. It emphasizes the importance of discipline and neutrality, especially as the country approaches the electoral cycle. For Newslink on East Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Sangdana Mendy, reporting from Banjul.
Now to Ghana, where the government plans to develop a national emolument policy to address persistent salary and compensation disparities across the public sector. President John Dramani Mahama announced the initiative during a high-level dialogue with organized labor at the Jubilee House in Accra on Tuesday. This decision comes in response to renewed labor unrest, including recent protests by the Civil and Local Government Staff Association Ghana, CLOSAG, and long-standing concerns about inequities in public sector pay structures. WDL's Accra correspondent Nadi Detete reports.
As part of the reforms, the government is set to transition from Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to an independent emoluments commission, which will help develop and oversee the new national policy framework as part of a broader overhaul of the country's compensation system. The proposed framework is expected to introduce a more transparent and evidence-based approach to determining salaries and benefits while aligning public sector pay with productivity, labor market conditions, and fiscal sustainability. It will also seek to harmonize allowances, correct distortions in remuneration, and move away from what authorities describe as a fragmented system that has contributed to recurring labor disputes over the years. President Mahama says the new policy is intended to bring greater fairness and structure to public sector pay.
Our goal is to move away from the fragmented and ad hoc wage decisions towards a system that is fair to workers, is responsible to the taxpayers, and is sustainable for future generations. Let me emphasize that this reform will be implemented in a phased manner and will be carried out in full consultation with organized labor every step of the way. As a first step, the new legislative framework will cover public sector institutions, agencies, and state-owned enterprises with a differentiated approach that reflects each entity's financial capacity and operational reality. It is also important to clarify that the inclusion of Article 71 office holders will be undertaken only after the required constitutional amendments and legislative processes have been carried out and are complete.
The reform comes at a time when Ghana's public sector wage bill continues to exert pressure on government finances, with compensation accounting for a significant portion of national expenditure. For WADR, Nadedi Tete, Accra.
We turn to health matters in Benin as science students resume internships at major hospitals across the country following days of strike. The medical students had been protesting issues related to their training conditions and the responsibilities expected of trainee practitioners. Their action was a response to the authorities' decision to temporarily suspend clinical placements for health science students in various hospitals nationwide. Sankli Janko tells us more.
The resumption of medical internships at various hospitals in Benin follows a meeting held on March 16, 2026 between President Patrice Talon and healthcare professionals in training. During this meeting, the students voiced specific concerns regarding their supervision and risk they faced in healthcare facilities. They also discussed the duration of the temporary suspension of clinical placements, the procedures for redeploying supervisors, and necessary adjustments to the practical curriculum. In response, President Patrice Talon explained the reasons for the internship's suspension, emphasizing the need to recognize and secure the practical training framework. He assured the students that their concerns were being addressed and that appropriate solutions were being implemented. As a result of these discussions, the students agreed to resume their hospital duties, effectively ending the protest movement that had arisen due to tension surrounding training conditions and the responsibilities of trainee practitioners. The medical students adopted a conciliatory approach by lifting their strike order and allowing normal operations to resume in hospitals.
Sankli Janko, Voice Out Report. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar and online at wadr.org. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Reaction mounts over CAF decision declaring Morocco 2025 African champions as Senegalese Football Federation announces appeal at Arbitration Court for Sports. The Gambia police confirms rising cases of rape, robbery and arson attacks. Nigerian president on state visit to the UK in nearly 4 decades. And Liberia government clarifies tripartite agreement over Mano River Union border disputes amid citizens' demand. And still ahead in the news, we do have the press review, a guest interview, and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Don't forget, so you can follow live streamings on YouTube and Facebook. Now let's turn to Guinea, the world's leading producer of bauxite. The West African nation is considering introducing export quotas for mining companies this month, according to sources close to the matter. This comes as global aluminium price decline and shipping costs rise, putting pressure on revenue despite a 25% increase in Guinea's bauxite report in 2025. More than 70% of those exports were destined for China. Abdullah Hassan has more details in this report.
Global bauxite prices have fallen by 20% to 35% compared to their 2025 peaks. The cause is unexpected production stoppages in Guinea. Reference shipments of bauxite from Guinea and Australia were trading between $60 and $70 at the beginning of the week. According to industry and government sources, export quotas for each mining project are still being assessed, so no decisions have yet been made and the details remain unclear. A mining executive indicates that this measure only concerns major producers. Guinea accounts for more than 40% of the world's bauxite supply, and the government has undertaken a vigorous policy to clean up the mining sector. The country also holds significant reserves of iron ore, gold, and lithium. Transportation costs resulting from the war with Iran are also weighing on producers. For example, African countries are taking stricter measures to extract more profit from their raw materials. They are imposing export controls, higher royalties, and domestic processing requirements. Mining experts warn that attempts to raise prices by restricting export could backfire. They add that export quotas could designate Guinea as a risk to supply and harm long-term demand.
Abdullah reporting there.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
We head back now to Banjul as we join Sang Donamendi for the newspaper review.
Hello and welcome to the press review coming to you from Banjul. We're starting off the review with the Point newspaper, which is reporting that no tolerance for hate speech. IGP Toure vows peace in Gambia. Top counter-terrorism official Kent resigns over Trump's Iran stance. Urgent bill seeks new funding path for national security. General Legal Counsel slams lawyer with 1 year suspension for professional misconduct. And Drug Law Enforcement Agency confirms housewife's arrest at Mile 2 Central Prison with suspected cannabis. Let us now check on Fourier newspaper, which is reporting that government to blacklist Lair Group after parliamentary investigation finds a serious underperformance. Border villages emptied as Casamas violence spills into the Gambia. Vice President tables bill to secure funding for security sector reform. And Gambia seeks private capital to drive climate transition amid rising economic risks. Let us now check on the Standard, which is our last stop. The Standard is reporting that government imposes a security levy on imported goods. Inspector General of Police says Gambia registered 54 rape cases in 2025. And Funi National Assembly member Bakari Baji says Casamas artillery cells landing in Gambia. And that does it for this edition of Press Review. We return to the studios.
Many thanks, Sang Donamendi there in Banjul.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
The guest interview focuses on a bombshell in African football. The Appeals Committee of the Confederation of African Football CAF has annulled Senegal's victory at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. CAF instead declared Morocco the champions of Africa. After reviewing a protest submitted by Morocco, the Appeals Committee found that Senegal had violated Articles 82 and 84 of the AFCON regulations. While Morocco acknowledges the decision, Senegal denounces the ruling as unacceptable, promising an appeal at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Our guest is Mamadou Tamba, a sport analyst from the Gambia, who shares insight into this decision by CAF Appeals Committee.
Looking at the context of everything, I think this might not end here, because football is played by the rules and it's governed by the rules. And if you go back to what the appeals committee is saying, you look at the context of Articles 82 and 84 that they're quoting. Looking at that and going through it, yes, you can say they have a case to take such a decision. But also at the moment, I think it will not end here, because Senegal also have every right to pick it up and take it to the higher body, that is the Court of Arbitration for Sports, and we see what comes out of next.
CAF Appeals Committee stated in its ruling that no other appeals will be accepted, or other requests or conclusions are rejected. What does this mean?
Well, I think, to me, you cannot put up a ruling and state that no other way or no other means for anyone to appeal or do any other thing. I think that would not be fair, because looking at everything that they said in the ruling, one, it states that if the team refuses to play or leaves the ground before the end of the regulation time without the referee's authorization, it will be considered losers or eliminated from the competition. That's what Article 82 says. And Article 84, which says that if you violate that the earlier article, that is 82, 84 will come into implication or will come to be applied. That is, of course, that team will be eliminated, and 3 goals to 0 will be awarded against their opponent. The appeals committee might have a say in that. The rules are clear there. Now, if you take such a decision, the one who is absolutely on the wrong end of the decision have every right to appeal. And that is why we have the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So, to me personally, I will not agree saying that the decision will not be challenged, or the one that is not on the right side of the results will not have any other way or anywhere to go to. I think that is wrong. Senegal have every right to appeal. Once they are into this, I think they have every right to appeal, because the rules are clear what the appeals committee did, and then Senegal have every right to go on an appeal.
What are the possibilities for Senegal now that it has decided to file an appeal at the Court of Arbitration for Sports?
Yeah, first, Senegal have to establish what happened. When the game was played, when that incident happened, we look at the rules and Article 82. Any team that refuses to play. Did Senegal refuse to play at that point? Yes, it's categorically clear, because players marched out of the pitch. It was Sadio Mane who was on the pitch and tried by all means to bring other players back on. The referee did not call the game to an end. And then after 15, 17 minutes, players were able to come back to the pitch, and the game continued. So that is also a point. And then Senegal can go on to appeal and say, look, yeah, we walked off, but after talks here and there, the team was able to come back onto the pitch, and the game continued under normal circumstances until the final whistle. We scored and we won. So I think they can also bank themselves on that. So now it's up to the Court of Arbitration for Sports to look at all that happened and say, look, yeah, Senegal has a case, or Senegal, you don't have a case. What CAF said is the right thing, and that decision from CAF, we're going to uphold the decision, and then we move on. It's very painful, but we all understand that football is played by the rules and is governed by the rules.
Now, what does this decision mean for African football?
Well, it means it's sending different messages. One, a lot of people have never come across something like this on the African continent. We have never seen a competition go all the way to the final, and then a game where the team scored a goal, it was ruled out, and then a penalty given to the opponent. The team decided to walk out of the pitch in front of everybody around the world. Both young and old, and then also after 2 months we've seen an appeal, and then the team that appealed became successful, and the team that won the trophy have been told to return the trophy, return the medals, and return the money. And then things getting crazier at the moment. The whole world is talking. It is sending a negative message out there to the continent in one way, and in the other way, it is telling people that we have to play by the rules no matter what happens. If the opponents wanted to put their house in order and table all the facts together and appeal, they might end up being successful. So it is both sides of the coin here.
Mamadou Tamba is a sport analyst from the Gambia. And in more sport news, veteran guard Sarah Ogoke has officially stepped down as captain of Nigeria's D Tigers, bringing an end to a remarkable international career that spanned more than a decade. The announcement was made on Monday in Lyon, France, where teammates and officials gathered to honor her contributions to the national team. Speaking at the event, Chairman of the National Sports Commission, Malam Sheodiko, paid tribute to Ogoke's impact both on and off the court, describing her as a symbol of commitment and resilience. And we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Maudo Juf and Ismaila Kamara for the technical support. Let's keep the conversation coming on all of our social media platforms: TikTok, X, Instagram at WADR English. I am Imo Edit. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Niba County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.
WADR, vous pouvez nous écouter